I'm going to take a moment and introduce an amazing lady. We've really become pretty good friends. You'll feel her energy. It's infectious. She just can't be around her without being excited. Um, but she is one of the users of our program. And by the way, these are not paid testimonials. These are actually authentic testimonials of people using our program. So Amanda, you there with us?
I am.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you have a family and we're kind of keeping you away from being with your kids and so forth, but if you could take just a minute, maybe a couple of moments to tell the audience who you are, where you're from, a little about your life situation, and then we'll do a little interactive Q&A from there.
Absolutely. Am I on camera? I just don't
You
know.
are, you're good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I can't see myself, so I was just curious. Well, it's so good to be here, Rich, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity because I'm just going to tell you this has been a complete game changer for me and my family. And I am a teacher by day. My heart is to work with students and to impact lives there. But I'm also a mom of 3, and we have 2 kids in college right now, and then a freshman in high school. And my husband is self-employed, so we have some variable income there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's say some that's a curse and a blessing, right? So we're going to hit on that a little bit. So with just
Yes.
about 5 minutes that we have, and I don't want to keep you
Yep.
too long. I know you got family, but a couple of things came to mind. So everybody has a different journey, and I want all of you to maybe see yourself in some of Amanda's story because it's really quite extraordinary. One, I think we all acknowledge those that have the heart to want to be able to educate our kids because if we don't, the future doesn't look too bright, right? But what would you say is it that led you down this path to begin with, right? Was it some sort of flash of light or an epiphany in the middle of the night? But usually there's something that's happening in our life, independent of us or even these strategies. There had to be something that occurred to say, hey, there's got to be a better way and I got to find it. Would you mind sharing that with us a little
Oh,
bit?
absolutely. I maybe there's something CJ mentioned $10,000. Maybe that's the whammy that just hits you. But we were on a very similar plan for about a decade. The beans and rice and beans. We knew how to make every dollar. We knew how to zero-based budget. We knew how to live on hardly anything. And really, it got to the point where I wasn't living anymore. And my husband was getting rather frustrated because he's a hard worker. And every time he'd get a big chunk of money, I'd be like, let's put it on debt. And it just was sucking the life out of him and honestly, our marriage. And at the beginning of 2019, this is when our whammy hit, we got an unexpected $10,000 IRS bill.
Yeah,
And
that'll be a wake up call.
what was that?
That'll be a wake up call.
It was. And it put me in a dark hole for about 3 days. And I literally shut myself in my room and I just really was at a low point, and I poured my heart to God. And very similar to what CJ said, I was like, there has to be a different way because this is not working.
Amanda, that's so funny you say that because we hear not necessarily that story, but so many versions of that story, which leads me to sort of my first primary question is when you got introduced to the MMA, and remember, everybody on this call, she was you, right? She didn't know anything about us. She could have thought we were crazy and this is magic or something. But what is it that stood out to you most, besides disbelief at first, I'm sure, but stood out to you most about the MMA and what your reaction was that, or maybe you could share a little bit about your results as well.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Well, when we got that $10,000 IRS bill, that's when I came across velocity banking. So we had been doing that for about 5 to 6 years. And then I just thought there has to be an automated way kind of to do this because
Mm,
I took a lot of hours and I educated myself from one of your other influencers for a while.
mm-hmm,
And, and when I saw the Money Max account, I'm like, this is it. This is what I had been looking for because I was starting to share it with other people. But then when they were like, all right, Amanda, here's our, financial situation. I didn't feel comfortable telling them where to put their money. But this system literally gives you an action plan, has your
yeah.
own dashboard in front of you that, like right now when my husband's in a slower season and we're putting in the Money Max account, and before not knowing what that would have done to us, it would have just
Mm-hmm,
mentally put me in a negative spot because we're like, oh gosh, this is,
I bet.
and now the last 2 months he's had slower months and we've put it in and it's only added like a month to our plan. And
Wow.
before, it might have just felt like the world was on us. Like, oh God, we're doomed. Like he didn't make the money this month that we were hoping he'd make, you know?
So it gives you a
And
little bit more
now,
peace of mind, right? Obviously.
yeah, so much peace of mind. And then knowing that every single dollar is going to work for us,
Mm.
and making our money go further for us and not for the banks. Like
It's funny,
that
Amanda, because we talk
is
a lot
huge.
about that every dollar needs three jobs, right? Cancel
Mhm.
interest, pay off debt, save and accumulate money. So what would you have said your results or your anticipated results would have been before you met us, right? Those three questions. When do you think you've got a debt? And what does it look like for you now?
Well, interesting enough, Rich, right about 8 months before I met you guys. So I got the MMA account in April of last year,
Okay.
2024. And we bought a new home, our dream home. And
Nice.
so that put us into another 30-year mortgage, but we did that because we knew the power of velocity banking, and we knew
Got it.
this won't truly be that. But then when I put this in in the system, our very first meeting with Rick, when we did this, we had 14 years. Now we moved into, we got a $500,000 home. Like if you would have ever
Mm-hmm.
told us we'd be able to do that, I never would have thought that was possible knowing our
Mm-hmm.
backstory. But anyway, it took us to 14 years. Now we have 2 in college, we have, car loan,
Ooh,
we have some other things. But we've already got that down to 11 years
nice.
and nothing else
Nice.
has shifted, right? My husband
Wow.
hasn't been making as much money right now. And it's down to 11 years, almost brand new $500,000 home in 11 years.
Now
Like,
let's pause there for a second because it's easy. Respectfully, we do this all the time. So we hear these results and we're like, yada, yada, another 10, 12-year result. But what does that open up? I know you personally pretty well now, right? And what does that open up for you now that you wouldn't have thought would have been possible just a year or two ago
oh my gosh,
for your future? Yeah.
hope and possibility. Because I used to be in that lack scarcity mindset where I was scared to death to leverage credit card, like CJ talked about at the beginning. I was scared
Mm-hmm.
of that because I was told those are bad. You can't do that. But it felt like we didn't have any way to pay for things when they came up. But when we learned that we could have the leverage of that and now have the Money Max account always being working on our behalf to say,
Mm,
oh no, you can go finance that instead. And let's watch how little you're going to actually pay and not use
that's
your own
huge.
money, use the bank's money, but almost flip it where we're benefiting from it now.
That's huge. And I'll give you one last question. And I know we've taken a lot of
Yep.
your time tonight, but you know, you're obviously pretty authentic. You're a teacher. I think you're pretty relatable. What would you say is some parting words for those that are on the call tonight? Was the process invasive? Obviously, we don't need their social security number, account numbers, thing. Was it intimidating? Do you think it was too good to believe? What was the process like when you actually went through your consultation, did your analysis? Any words you'd want to share with those that are on the call tonight?
Well, first of all, you guys are the real deal. And just like what you're seeing right now, so personable. And you and Rich, the two I've worked with the most, and I've gotten to know Kieran a little bit and Trish, it's just really like you care. It's not about, it's showing us what it can do for us, and then it's my decision. And I don't know anybody who would see it and say, no, it wouldn't be for me. But
Mm-hmm.
just very personable, and it's very user friendly. And then
Mm.
after I got it and got some stuff set up, anytime I needed help, I've called the office into the corporate office like 3 or 4 times, and I could get on Zoom right away, and they helped me walk through the questions when I was first kind of getting it all set up. And I haven't really had to call back since because it's that
Wow.
user friendly.
I appreciate that. And I
Yeah.
and I really appreciate you joining us. And we've been doing this a while, but this is what makes it worth it for us because when you hear these kind of stories, and they're not just stories, these are people's lives, right? And I hear the word hope a lot. And I think that really warms my heart to hear that. So I just can't say how much I appreciate you got not just entrusting us in this journey for you, but sharing your own personal story. We truly appreciate it, Amanda. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.